The world ticks on a headline. You go to a website and you're there for 3.8 seconds. You're hitting all the big print. That's why we joke about producers on competing financial websites have a size game. And it speeds up during the day. And as the news gets more frenzied, the size of the print gets larger. But here's what you find if you actually read right under the headline. A vast portion of the time, you realize, wait a minute, that headline doesn't actually match the information that's in the article. Why am I putting any weight whatsoever, mentally or emotionally, into this headline? And to give you an example of something like that, this is just one recent headline. Bold print that says, jobs growth cools. Uh-oh, something's slowing down. Now here's what's interesting is if you actually read what comes next, here's the way you want to recognize how false some of these impressions can be. Now this particular chart tells us the non-farm payrolls increased by 136,000 jobs versus the consensus, and there's the key word, the consensus. Does anybody know what the consensus is? Well, let me give you a very short education on what consensus is. I call up 50 dummies and I ask them a number. They guess, and then I take those numbers and I average them out. Now, if you think any lifetime financial decision should be made based on consensus, you should stop investing right now and put your money in the bank and hope you don't lose any more of it. The fact is consensus is garbage. It's just something we picked. Somebody in some producer's office, while they were printing this headline, said, "What's the consensus?" And somebody over in a corner yelled out a number. And that is what they use as the benchmark. So be that as it may, I want to carry further into just this one sentence. That is versus 168,000 jobs from the month before. Now here's what's kind of fascinating here. They didn't know that it's 168,000 until they got the data that said 136,000 for this month. Because that's why the parentheses exist. See, it says revised from 130,000. In other words, you are reacting to a number put out by the very same people who were only 38,000 jobs wrong a month before. You're buying it as it must be A, correct, and B, important, or my God, it wouldn't say jobs growth is cooling. But strangely enough, it really didn't cool. See, if I take the revised number, i.e. the real number, and I add the 38,000 job difference from 30 days ago, and I take away this miss by consensus of 9,000 jobs, I'm actually tens of thousands of jobs better than I was before this individual even started typing this headline that got your attention. Now, I know that I'm making this seem like a big deal, but I want you to understand very, very clearly that almost every bad headline you read is backed up by a story like this. While your mind saw jobs growth cools, A, it's dead wrong, and B, we have more jobs than when they started writing this headline because the revised number from last month proves to you why you shouldn't even believe the jobs number they gave you this month. Because you know what's going to happen? It's going to get revised next month. The only way cools could have been used is to take the 136,000 job remark and compare it to the $168,000 job mark, which was only revised seconds before this data was received. In fact, it's delivered in the same exact report. The number for today is delivered, and then the revision to last month is delivered. You have to use, in essence, the worst part of each end of this data in order to write a headline that says job growth cools. But none of it is reality. And to really cap off the insanity of this headline, note the unemployment rate on the second bullet point. It went down 0.2%. Consensus, by the way, the same consensus that thought we'd have more jobs, was wrong to the good side. They thought we'd have a higher unemployment rate, but we got a lower unemployment rate. So do you see, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to explain to you is extremely valuable. Stop believing the headlines. You learn that, and you become a better investor.